Canada's Generative AI Wake-Up Call, From Leader to Laggard, by John Hartley, Philip Joloveski, Vitor Mello, and Brandon Moore. So I'm going to get into another piece regarding AI adoption in Canada. People are really starting to clue in that there's a problem here. And like our team, my name's Alex. I run an AI agency in Toronto. Our team's on the ground floor in demonstrations uh, uh, of AI, voice integrations, in particularly with Canadian businesses. So we see firsthand what the issues are, and it's really a mindset or a mentality issue. Most Canadian businesses have been doing business the same way for the past 20, 30 years. Like some of the businesses we speak to are using systems like CRMs or ERPs that literally don't even have tech support anymore because the teams are done and they're just using it just because it still works. So it's really interesting to see how far behind Canadians are with tech. And when we get into conversations and realize like they're living in the 1990s or early 2000s, we're a small team, so we don't get to communicate so much with other tech teams in Canada. It's mostly just our clients, but it's shocking a lot of the times. And in the US, when we talk to our US clients, they're so far ahead. The business owners are using, you know they're making decisions at warp speed because they understand that tech moves fast and they always want to be on the bleeding edge. With Canada, it's like, oh, does it still work? Okay, great. Let's pay a lot of money for something that still kind of works and just don't change, because any change is, we don't know what's going to happen. In the States, they're geared for change. They're primed for change. They want to change to do more faster all the time. So I'm really glad that the Macdonald-Laurier Institute looks like is putting out conversations and stoking the narrative on stuff, because we really do need a change here in this country. Like the old guard has to sort of recognize that, hey, young people have an expectation. It's not being met in this country when it comes to the economy. 100%, the economy is collapsing. So the people who run businesses, you guys have to make decisions that are going to help. And so I'm really excited. We're onboarding new clients, especially in healthcare, manufacturing, and it's just like as soon as they get into the world of AI, like we can see visibly on their face in the demos, like their perception of what technology is and what's available to them completely changes. So really excited. We're going to be doing some more marketing, but I just want to have this conversation quick for my next meeting. Nations that invest in AI fluency through training, education, cultural acceptance, and regulatory flexibility have an opportunity surge ahead. Have an opportunity surge ahead, not an opportunity to surge ahead. There's literally going to be an abundance of opportunities surging. Those that do not may very well stagnate. Canada risks falling dangerously behind in the global race to harness the productivity enhancing power of generative artificial intelligence, despite its world class universities, highly educated population, and history of AI research excellence, particularly emanating from the Greater Toronto Area. Toronto, what up? Canada's workplace adoption of AI is currently less than half of that of the United States. According to surveys we have been running, only 21.2% of Canadian workers are using Gen AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini in their daily jobs, compared to 46% in the United States. So, using AI tools like ChatGPT, AI terminals, great. That's the first step in adoption. That's where you start to think, you know what? I don't know AI. I might go on my computer, go on the internet, go on Google, and play on Facebook, or post my funny videos on TikTok. But am I really getting into a productive activity, like creating things, solving problems? Like this is what we do in the digital world in AI. We're not just me coming up here and making content. This is just to spur on the visibility machine, the war machine through Google and SEO and LLMs. But when you see people just making random funny videos and putting it on TikTok or Facebook, that's not productive. So those people, if they were to just divert their energy away from that a little bit, start using ChatGPT. Hey, how can I make my workday better? How can I be more or valuable to my company so I don't get replaced? How can I find a better job given my skills? Those are the types of conversations Canadians need to start having with AI and sort of drop the distracting stuff like your best friend's memes or funny YouTube videos or people or podcasters. Like a lot of people that I talk to, they listen to podcasts. I don't listen to podcasts. I think I might be the guy that's going to be putting on podcasts. But unless someone's literally speaking about something that can contribute positively to my life, whether it be my business, my health, my family, like I just don't pay any mind to it at all. So my time's much of my time is spent communicating with AI models and using AI terminals, and that's really jettisoned me ahead to a point where I can pay other people to do work. I can hire Canadians to start doing work. So I really hope that more Canadians go through what I went through and start to recognize, hey, there's a really big opportunity to surge ahead with this technology. Excuse me. The stark contrast should be a wake up call to Canadian policymakers, business leaders, and educators. We think the widespread and effective use of Gen AI technologies will be one of the defining factors separating the prosperous economies of the 21st century from those mired in stagnation. For Canada, where GDP per capita has been largely flat for nearly 15 years, closing the Gen AI gap is not just an economic opportunity, but an imperative. So these people at this Macdonald-Laurier Institute are quite literally saying now it's not an opportunity for Canada. We have to do this. And you know what? I really do appreciate the academics coming out um, of their coming out of their caskets to sort of shed some light on this instead of just being in the classroom all day. Because I'm not really a fan of academics at all. My experience in university was tumultuous to say the least. I proved to a few key people that I had the chops to get good marks, but ultimately the marks didn't mean anything. It was all about production, work, money. So I'm happy to see that academics are coming out and saying this stuff, but we really do need politicians, business leaders, influencers, just to tell Canadians use AI now. It's not about, oh, are you afraid or are you scared or how much literacy do you have in AI? Who cares? Drop all the shit. Go to chatgpt.com and ask first question, how can I become better at what I do in my life with you? Your life will change. I promise anyone who's not looked at AI yet, go to chatgpt.com, type this exactly. I don't know anything about AI. I want AI to help me in my life. Talk to me like I'm a baby. That's my favorite prompt to tell ChatGPT. Talk to me like I'm a baby to make it easy so I can understand this quickly and move on to the next thing. And so I do hope that a lot of these leaders, so-called leaders, like we're the leaders in Canada for Christ's sake. Evan Solomon, you're going to get my ratings because you're really trying your darndest to do the political work. But we need strong people with money and even like that look strong and healthy, telling other humans in Canada use AI now, or we're going to have a serious problem in the next couple decades. And it's funny because when my parents were or my age, they're making their way in Canada, and there's no internet, no cell phones, no nothing. It was just like, oh, get a job, go get paid, get your paycheck, go to the bank, get bank out. Da, da, da. It was all that. That's all baked in now. You have to have all that plus the AI stuff now. So if you're a young person looking at the job landscape, the economy, it's harder for you than it was for me and my parents, people before. It's just getting harder and harder. We don't live in a world now where things are getting easier. We're on the opposite end of that run up. We're on the downfall. So you need to work harder. There is no question. And once you recognize that, your life's going to change. Falling behind in a technological arms race, the global economy is entering what Jensen Huang, founder and CEO of NVIDIA, aptly calls the AI industrial revolution. As he recently warned, you are not going to be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by someone using AI. And that's the bottom line. AI, we're not going to have an AI accountant, but I will bet the entire kit and caboodle that you're not going to use an accountant unless they have AI and they're leveraging that to make their work better. And I don't even if we have any vendors or anyone doing marketing or contracting for the team, if they're not using AI, I don't even speak to them because it's a waste of time. You are not going to be replaced by AI, but you're replaced by someone using AI. This is not a threat, it's a diagnosis. The point is simple but profound. Individuals, firms, and countries that fail to learn how to leverage Gen AI will fall behind those that do. This is coming from a professor at some sort of institute, guys, not some random schmo on YouTube with a top knot. The data from our national Canadian survey confirms this. Gen AI users in Canada report average time savings of 73.4% on AI enhanced tasks, transforming multi hour writing or analysis assignments into activities completed in under an hour. These tools are not simply automating busy work, they are augmenting and accelerating critical thinking, problem solving, and creative output across a range of industries. Not a range of industries, every single industry, every utterance of work or force being applied is going to have a layer of AI decision making in it at some point. This is inevitable. Yet in Canada, only about 1 in 5 workers are using these tools. The United States, in contrast, has already moved into a second wave of adoption, with nearly 1 in 2 professionals integrating Gen AI into their workflows. The gap is not merely academic, it represents a widening productivity chasm. A widening productivity chasm. We want to talk about productivity or GDP per capita in Canada, guys. If the answer is staring us right in the face, it's AI. It represents a widening productivity chasm that could compound over time as American workers become vastly more efficient than their Canadian counterparts. Perhaps larger, richer firms in the US can more easily invest in generative AI subscriptions than poorer and smaller Canadian. I like how he just says poorer. Like, if you guys saw the journey that I had to go on financially, poor is not an excuse. Find a way. But this is no but this is no excuse not to invest in productivity enhancing technology. That's nice. So stagnation and structural weakness. The timing of Canada's lag in AI adoption could not be worse. Since the mid 2000s, Canada's GDP per capita has grown at a sluggish pace, underperforming not only the US but also many peer economies. Productivity growth, defined as output per hour worked, has been alarmingly weak, held back by underinvestment in both physical and human capital. So I'll tell you right now, whenever we're proposing a new automation to a business owner, or having them, they're trying to crunch the numbers, how much does this random schmo on the internet want from me to build out this AI doohickey? Like that's what they're thinking, and then I just turn around to them and say, okay, so we're building you a pretty sophisticated and thoroughly trained and tested AI voice agent that can answer all of your phone calls. Hell, they can even make outbound phone calls depending on preset conditions and consent from targets. Hell, this thing can even enter information into CRMs and retrieve information from CRMs, ERPs, EMRs, EHSs live on the phone call, and then book people into calendars, specifically medical people, sales calls, whatever you can possibly conceive. Hell, if we really wanted it, we could have these agents. You could call the agent, tell it what kind of pizza you wanted, and then we can have the pizza order routed through an API to your favorite restaurant. These agents can do anything that someone would be able to do at work when it comes to being on the computer or on the phone. So, if with that being said, how much does it cost to hire someone to do all of what I described right off the bat? And once they compare how much it costs for us to implement this system versus how much it costs to hire someone to do that role, it instantly clicks in their head. This output per hour worked is a human denomination. We don't think about hours worked by AI agents. It's minutes of production. It's minutes, because the agent doesn't have to work every hour for 8 hours. In an 8 hour span, how many phone calls is someone really going to answer? Maybe in a low volume environment, 10, 20. That person's going to have to, say all the things that they think they need to say on the phone. Those phone calls might be 5, 10 minutes. AI agents are doing these tasks in 1, 2 minutes. So it's really a very apparent to business owners once they start to see what the agents do. Like, it's over. It's like, okay, I want that, and now we can devote our budget, our hiring budget, to someone who can actually do work, who can be productive, engage in revenue generating activities for our business, or help us with other bottlenecks in areas where we haven't explored AI use cases yet. So I'm looking forward to it. Excuse me, the Canadian side, like, come on, guys, this is it's come to a point now where I'm having to show, like, the literal video of Evan Solomon talking about Canadians needing to adopt AI to the Canadians or in demos, just to get them primed to think like, hey, like, maybe I am a little bit behind. But you're not a little bit behind, you're extremely behind. So we got to do better. Rather than closing the productivity gap with the United States, Canada risks falling further behind while the US is integrating Gen AI into finance, healthcare, law, logistics, and public administration. Canadian organizations remain tentative. While American companies train entire divisions in prompt engineering, text generation, and AI assisted coding, many Canadian firms have yet to issue their first internal AI policy. Now, I can tell you this is not going to happen. AI policies, like, we can't even get business owners to use ChatGPT. They're not going to be able to wrap their head around an AI policy. Just get them to use AI now. If you're a worker in a Canadian business and you're seeing my face, go to your boss and say we need to use AI now. Or train yourself to use AI, show them your workflow productivity increase. If they don't give you a raise, find someone to pay you for your AI skills. Bottom line. There is an economic cost to inaction. Generative AI is not a future abstraction. It's a general purpose technology, potentially on par with the internet or electricity. The gains from early adoption are large and compound rapidly. As Canada hesitates, it may lock itself into a path of lower productivity, reduced competitiveness, and weaker income growth. Why Canada is lagging and why it can't afford to. Our survey of 2,500 Canadian workers highlights several structural reasons for the country's lower adoption of Gen AI, which are worth paying attention to. Demographic inertia. The average Gen AI user in Canada is, oh my gosh. The average Gen AI user in Canada is 40.7 years old, while the average non-user is 51.2 years old. This is a 10-year age gap signals a digital divide where younger, more tech-savvy workers adopt while older cohorts lag. So that is a huge issue, guys. We need older people to use technology so they can turn around and tell young people, you need to use technology if you want to be even relevant. That's the problem. Are the people who are supposed to be teaching our younger generations and who are supposed to giving them instructions on the directions of business in the country, they become irrelevant. They don't even look at tech. So that it's like the blind leading the blind. Educational divide. 57.5% of Gen AI users hold a bachelor or graduate degree. Like, wow, like, you don't even need all that, guys. You don't need any of this, compared to just 26.7% among non-users. Workers with post-secondary education are being left behind with AI transformation. Public sector resistance. Adoption rates in public sector are 36.6% compared to just 26.9% in government. Bureaucratic inertia, data security concerns, and rigid IT systems are slowing public sector integration of AI tools. Regional disparities. Adoption ranges from a high of 25% in Ontario to just 13.3% in Newfoundland and Labrador. Oh my gosh, guys. And like, the amount of, and it's so funny because when we get into a relationship with a Canadian business owner or operations manager for AI, there's so much work we have to do on the technical side. There's so much we have to do. And once they realize that and see that, they're like, holy shit. Like, if we were to do this ourselves, we would be doing this for 2 years. I'm really happy ChatGPT recommended Peak to Men. Guys, you have to start yesterday and you have to go fast now if you're a Canadian business. I can't stress this enough. Canada's innovation economy is urban and uneven, leaving rural and smaller provinces behind. These dividers risk entrenching a new digital inequality in the Canadian workforce by age, by education, by region, and by sector. If unaddressed, this may very well weaken national productivity and deeper labor market segmentation. The case for workforce training and reskilling, the answer to this lag is not a top-down industrial policy or protectionism. It is investment in human capital, specifically in digital literacy and Gen AI competency across the workforce. And I am a very strong proponent of Gen AI literacy across the workforce. Let's do it on this page so you guys see my face. Uh, if the guys who are working here at Peak Demand, like Gen AI literacy is a requirement. Like, and I can tell how much AI someone's used if they're sharing the screen and speaking to a terminal, like the language they use, how fast they are with prompts and inferences, what they do with those prompts and inferences, how they structure guardrails. Like, I can tell right away if you're at that level where you can start getting training. You have some semblance of experience before you get into the nitty gritty stuff, because it gets really hard. This is not just, oh, type in the chat GPT, give me the right answer now. It doesn't work like that. That's not AI. There's a lot that goes into it. Canada must act urgently to train workers not merely to coexist with Gen AI, but to thrive alongside it. This means integrating Gen AI training into public education, vocational programs, and university curricula, prompt engineering, critical evaluation of AI outputs, and domain specific use cases should be taught just like Excel or coding. The Canadian public post secondary education system has the capability of doing this at scale, offering employer incentives to fund Gen AI workshops and internal learning programs, especially for small and medium enterprises that lack the scale of large corporations. So yeah, like get a teacher, get a course. Nothing's going to teach you like experience. Nothing's going to teach you like putting in thousands of prompts to 2 or 3 AI terminals on a weekly basis. You're going to get better just by using the technology, not by needing a teacher. My teacher is ChatGPT. I go to ChatGPT, I'm like, teach me all about you. All you have to do is be able to read. You don't even have to. I don't use backspace when I type to ChatGPT. There's no point. It's a waste of time. Launching regional reskilling initiatives in areas where Gen AI adoption lags, particularly in poorer provinces and those with traditional manufacturing sectors, equipping public servants with the tools and training to use Gen AI to improve service delivery, policy research, and regulatory efficiency. Canada's current adoption gap reflects a lack of digital capacity, not capability. The productivity gains of Gen AI are not limited to computer scientists or Silicon Valley engineers. In our survey, Gen AI delivered similar time savings across all income levels. Everyone benefits, from factory floor workers to white collar professionals. This technology has potential to democratize productivity, but only if Canadians are trained to use it. And that's the thing. You got to be willing to take this and go yourself. You can't just rely on someone to teach you. Pick up the shovel, start digging. Gen AI is an equalizer if we let it be. Contrary to fears that Gen AI will widen poverty, our findings suggest it could do the opposite and be a leveler between skilled and unskilled workers. Anyone who didn't know how to code before now has the means of doing so through an LLM prompt. Workers earning between $35,000 and $75,000 saw efficiency gains on par with high-income earners in our survey. In fact, lower-income workers were slightly more likely to report extreme time savings, suggesting that when given the right tools and training, Gen AI can level the playing field. So, guys, the lesser amongst us are gaining the most from AI. Like, if that's not an indication that we need children to start learning this, so our country and our economy can be more productive, I don't know what is. The lesser of the least amongst us, those with the lowest income, those with the lowest IQs, they're gaining 90% time savings in their world. But access to those tools and skills is not automatic. With targeted efforts to expand adoption, existing educational and regional divides may worsen, and Gen AI could remain highly concentrated among skilled service workers in the wealthiest metros of Toronto, Ottawa, and Vancouver. This is not a recipe for broad-based economic growth. If Canada wants Gen AI to boost natural productivity, not just raise wages of software engineers, it must pursue inclusive diffusion. This means building infrastructure and training pathways so that a tradesperson in Winnipeg or a small business owner in Moncton has the same Gen AI fluency as a McKinsey consultant in downtown Toronto. And I really do believe we're going to have people working in roles that completely go all in on AI once they figure out how it works, just because they have the mind for problem solving, for development. Embracing a culture of AI driven innovation. Canada's approach to Gen AI adoption must be cultural. While the US tech and ecosystem embraces experimentation and iteration, Canadian firms often exhibit risk aversion, failure. The biggest risk is taking no risks. Government regulations and institutional inertia, especially in the public sector and regulated industries, are compounding the problem. This is not a call for reckless deregulation, but Canada must adopt a pro-innovation regulatory posture that allows for controlled experimentation, which in AI and healthcare, education, and public services. We're beyond experimentation, guys. We are deploying agents to work live production in the water, doing work. It's the states is 3 years ahead, guys. This experimentation, tested out bullshit. It's got to stop. Regulatory sandboxes, outcome based oversight, and clear guidelines on responsible use can unlock innovation while protecting citizens. Equally important is executive leadership. Gen AI adoption is often top down. When CEOs use the tools themselves, their organizations follow. Canada needs more business leaders to model AI fluency and evangelize its benefits. In our data, the highest Gen AI adoption rates are found in management occupations, proof that when leaders lead by example, adoption follows. And that's 100% for me. Like these guys that I'm working with, they I have to sometimes think for them because they're not quite, too deep into the abyss yet. And once they have their lights come on, then they can start to think for themselves. But you got to push them. I got to be the guy that says, "Hey, write this prompt like this. Hey, build this playbook like this. Get a comprehensive list of all the things this agent did. Get it to the next agent. Refresh tokens. It's like go 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 go." I'm constantly having to tune them to make sure they're working in the same way that I do, and their productivity spikes upwards. Time for Canada to catch up. The global Gen AI race is already underway, and Canada is starting from behind at 21.2% workplace adoption. Canada is not just behind the US, it is behind its own potential. With weak productivity growth, stagnant GDP per capita, and rising global competition, Canada cannot afford to sit out the next technological revolution. Generative AI will not replace Canadian workers, but as Jensen Huang said, workers using Gen AI will replace those who don't learn how to use it. The same could be true across countries. Nations that invest in AI fluency through training, education, and cultural acceptance and regulatory flexibility have an opportunity to surge ahead. Those that do not may very well stagnate. Generative AI will not be without ethical challenges. Policymakers, business leaders, and educators will need to grapple with concerns around bias, transparency, and accountability. Large language models can inherit and amplify biases embedded in their training data leading to outputs that may be discriminatory or misleading. Without ongoing monitoring and clear disclosure standards, Gen AI risk eroding trust amongst both users and the public. And this is 100% true, where the feelings that human beings get, oh, this Gen AI wasn't diverse enough. Oh, this wasn't taking into account these cultural norms. And it's a machine, guys. It needs to be trained. And the information that it has right now is based on tech bros that have been dominating the industry for 30 years, like men. So if we want to sort of get the AI to be more involved and diverse and inclusive for everyone, we need people of color, we need women, we need children, we need everyone getting involved in the process. If Gen AI tools are used to influence hiring, lending, or public policy in any way, stakeholders must be able to understand how outputs were generated on what. See, that's the problem here, right here, guys. If Gen AI tools are used to influence hiring, lending, or public policy in any way, stakeholders must be able to understand how outputs are generated. And most of the time, people have no idea. And I'm really happy I did SEO, or search engine optimization, because it's the contextual alignment for inferences is very similar to how Google looks up data. So if you're an SEO person, get into AI, you'll do very well. The last thing we want are hallucinations. We minimize hallucinations on a daily basis here at the agency. False information created by Gen AI tools propagating in society. Lawyers and legal scholars around the world have accidentally cited fake cases using generative AI tools to write legal memos and opinions. Such behavior deserves to be scolded and reprimanded. Like this is, I can't believe lawyers wouldn't do or carry out the due diligence required for a citation. Like what? How are these people lawyers when they're like, if your assistant gave you a citation, you're not going to check the citation? Why would AI be any different from that? And this is just points to the stupidity of people who have sophisticated roles right now in society. Privacy and data governance present another significant ethical frontier. Many Gen AI systems rely on sensitive or proprietary information to produce high quality results. Without strong safeguards, there is a risk of unauthorized data exposure or misuse, particularly in sectors like healthcare, finance, and government. These challenges demand not only robust technical solutions such as encryption and anonymization and secure APIs, but also clear legal and ethical frameworks to guide implementation. Responsible adoption means building systems that protect individual rights, respect intellectual property, and maintain public confidence while still enabling innovation. Canada has talent, the institutions, and the infrastructure to lead in Gen AI, but it must overcome its hesitation. It must build a culture of AI driven innovations that includes every worker, every industry, and every region. The alternative is clear: an economy increasingly defined by slow growth, underutilized talent, and missed opportunities. The path forward is not complicated. It starts with national ambition and ends with widespread AI literacy. Now is the time to act. So oh, I'm getting called now. I gotta go, but I'm gonna get this one on YouTube. If you liked what you heard, please like and subscribe. If you want to follow the narrative of AI in Canada, please, please, please start to pay attention, start to train yourself. Looking forward to the next one. Bye now.